You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengelt.
Warning, what you're about to hear is passionate and often very loud. So if you don't like adjusting your volume, sorry. Michelle Garmon of the Tipton Tribune and Elwood Call Leader joined Will Rutherford and myself on Wednesday to answer the 5 most important questions from national sports from a Central Indiana perspective. Here it is. Will Rutherford's 5 questions that need answers with Michelle Garmon. Welcome back to the Central Indiana Sports Report to Will Rutherford. First time on the phone, Will. Of
Yep.
course, Michelle Garmon and I are over here doing some live podcasting for some basketball, and took some time to call Will because there are 5 questions that need answers, Will.
Are there
There are, as
just
every week.
five?
Just
Just
5.
five? Just five. Okay.
Well, of course, you know they're going to have parts, so
Oh, of course. Yeah,
they're
they have to.
it might end up being 25 questions, but
Perfect.
here tonight with Michelle Garmon of the Tipton Tribune, and the three of us love to debate sports, so this is going to be fun.
I can't wait. I'm pumped.
I
I
thought we
just wish I
actually.
was there.
Oh,
Sorry,
I wish you were here
you
too
go.
in person.
Yeah. Well, we'll definitely make that happen again very soon. In fact, we were talking about that tonight, that we need to, during Christmas break, have a day like we had during Thanksgiving and have everybody come out and talk and have fun debating sports like we did that day.
Oh yeah, that was awesome. That was the best.
Well, this is going to be the best now, and let me start with the first question. That's the same question every week, and Michelle and I will let you know, Will, if you are correct or if you're not.
Okay.
So, the first question, as always, during the NFL season is what are the 5 teams most likely to win the Super Bowl? Not Will's power poll, as we say every week, but the 5 teams, and Belle has an opinion.
She does.
Well, I'm going to say for I don't know if this is the seventh or eighth week in a row running, but I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions again. I think that they are playing great football. I'm a little worried about their defense. I'm actually a lot worried about their defense and how it's going to hold up in the NFC playoffs, but I still think that their offense is so high powered that they can overcome. They can win shootouts. They can win 42 to 41 ball games. They can score touchdowns at ease. They can script whoever they want to score for a week. They can do that. So I'm going to say, once again, that they are my number one team. And the funniest thing is they only have a game lead in their division, and I think that they are the team most likely to win the Super Bowl. So that is going to the. I want to say it's week 17 that the Lions and Vikings play, and that's going to be an absolutely massive game as far as home field advantage implications. But I'm going to give the Lions the benefit of the doubt right now.
Michelle, here's I've been telling Will week after week after week that the only people who would ever say that the Lions are the team most likely to win the Super Bowl is the teams who've never seen the Lions play in the past, because we all know that something's going to happen and they aren't going to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, their history's not very good, and I think for the Lions to win the Super Bowl, they better hope that they don't have to see Green Bay Packers a third time because I don't know that they can beat them 3 times in the same year. And the same probably with the Minnesota Vikings. I don't know. It might actually, except for those home field implications, it might actually be better for Detroit to lose that game than um, just because you're talking about.
Go vanilla.
Yeah, I mean, and you're just talking about division rivals, and I think when you get that, I do think it's really hard to beat a team in 3 times.
I
That
agree completely.
that's it. I think though it's funny because I think the biggest challenges to them getting to the Super Bowl are one their bad luck history, but take that aside and you just go on the field. I think it is either Minnesota or Green Bay, they're challengers, and not just because they would possibly have to beat them a third time. Um, I I'm not really sure. I'm not sure about the Eagles. You know, they're not throwing the ball quite as well right now as they are, and to really challenge Detroit. And you got to sit there and wonder: is Barkley going to stay healthy the entire season? and into the playoffs. Because
Well,
his history is not good on that.
we're still on question number one, Will, and we're still talking about the Lions. So
Hey,
I'm
there's no
sure the
problem.
Eagles are
Hey,
going to come up.
and the Lions went 25 years and weren't talked about on any sports show. So I guess their flowers are due to be talked about for the first 4 minutes of a podcast. I mean, their time is due.
Between
Um,
Barry Sanders and this year, there hasn't been a lot.
No.
no, I mean, I don't think. I mean, in my lifetime, this is. I can only recall the Lions being good maybe 2 years with
Yeah.
Stafford and Calvin Johnson. I think that
And they
I
were only good
really
2 years when they had Stafford and Calvin Johnson. It doesn't even make any sense.
I know. I mean,
no.
to me, that I know that does not. May I that at that time, I would think that if the current people with the Lions management and coaching staff were there with Stafford and Calvin Johnson, I would think
Yes,
that
it
they
would have
would
been a
have,
lot
yes,
different.
they would have
Yes,
had a lot more success.
yes.
Well, I think the biggest thing with the Lions that you see is they drafted their talent. I mean, they have hit on. I mean, just about every first and second round draft pick, and even third round draft pick they've had the last since Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell and that regime took over. I mean, you're talking about they
I
got Amon-Ra St. Brown for a fourth round, Penny Sewell's a building block, Brian Branch,
absolutely.
Jamison Williams, Jack Campbell. I mean, we're talking about not
Yes.
just starters, impact players, players that are, you know, the week before the game against the Lions, coaches are putting these people's pictures up on a wall and saying, we can't let that guy beat us. I
That's
mean,
right.
that's what the Lions are doing.
I will
They
say
have,
they're way
they've,
better run than they've ever been in the past. So I say this mostly in jest as a lifetime Lions fan, but I still believe that something will happen and they will not win. And I think it'll be the Eagles, but who's your number two team?
Well, wait,
my
can we go
number
back to the
two,
Lions for one real
All
quick
right.
section?
Yep.
The only
of
other thing that
course,
I think that could hurt the Lions a little bit is because I don't think
Good Lord.
defensively they're playing as well, and with their history, Dan Campbell's gambling, how he really kind of likes to gamble, and I on go for it on fourth, and not always in the best places on the field. I think he's got to maybe become, I don't, not super conservative because that's not him, but maybe just
I love him
play
the way
play
he is.
play the odds just a little bit more.
I love him the way he is. I wouldn't want
I,
him to
I,
change for anything.
I'm kind of with, I would say I'm a little bit with Greg on this one, just from the standpoint of the way that he coaches wins them games
That's
in
right.
the regular season. I think it's too hard. It's tough for a team, I feel like, to look at your coach, a coach who's played one way the entire year, and then all of a sudden, when the lights get brightest, decisions get made that are a little different. And I loved what they did last year against
Yeah.
the 49ers. They played to win. They didn't play to lose, and that's what should happen. And if the table turned the other way, we would have said Dan Campbell's a genius. That's what everybody would have said. They would have said, this man, he's got the biggest kahunas on him of any coach in NFL history,
Yeah.
and it was just the best decision he ever could have made. So
Plus,
I don't think he should change at all.
you can't tell a team, I believe in you, I believe in you, I believe in you, and now I don't.
Well, but no,
I
I
agree.
think you're not telling. I don't think you're telling a team you don't believe them in. If you have fourth and one inside your own 30 and you decide to go for it,
Go
and you
for
and
it.
you miss it, and then the
Go
other
for
team
it.
scores. I don't, because then you are really you put
The other team might score if you punt too.
right. But I mean,
And then you don't have
but
the
you're not
ball.
setting them up. The chances when you go for it there, you're at least probably most likely giving them 3 points.
They're not going to score at all if you have the ball.
But if you
And the
don't,
odds are 90% that you're going to get it from 4th and 1.
not inside your own, not necessarily
The odds
inside
are
your own things.
the bigger field you have, the more like you're going to get it. We got to go faster. Will, who's your number two team?
My number two, even in a loss, is the Buffalo Bills. I still, good Lord, Josh Allen. I mean, I could
Woo!
just slobber thinking
Yes.
about him playing
Oh,
football. He is. I'm done. He is the most skilled quarterback to ever play the game of football, and he's 29 years old. And I will say that right now.
well, that's
There
not
is
true, but he's
nobody.
close.
No, there's no talent wise. What he can do, he is. He is the next generation that is more skilled than the last. And I said it was Aaron Rodgers for 10 years. It's not anymore. It's Josh Allen. It's just watching him play football is incredible. It really is. He is just a lightning rod. And if the Bills defense plays any better, they win that game. I mean, he's going to win team. He's going to win you playoff games. He's got the Chiefs' number in the regular season. He's had their number in the postseason. His numbers have. This is the year they overcome. This is the year that they do it. Then they're going to do it because of Josh Allen.
He's number 2 to Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback, young quarterback, most skilled, most
Now,
create something out of nothing quarterback in the league today.
He doesn't
Patrick
have.
Mahomes is a more astute, more creative Brett Favre. And even but I will say this: both Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, I like them both because they have the toughness of Brett Favre, of Peyton Manning,
I
and of
think you're
Tom Brady.
both. I think you're both right. There's something about Josh Allen that he does things that no quarterback has ever been able to do. There's no doubt about that. But I think to say that he is the most talented and skilled ever he's not even the most talented and skilled on this list. I agree with Michelle on that.
no,
That's still
he's
Patrick Mahomes.
got an absolute howitzer for an arm. He could throw the ball 80 yards from his knees. He probably runs a
So he's Jeff
4.45
George.
when he's getting chased. He runs people over. He hurdles
Patrick
people.
Mahomes makes people miss. That's
No,
more important. That's more to me.
no.
You making people miss is better. He could throw from
Patrick
all sorts of ways. Josh Allen he's more he doesn't what I like about Mahomes is he has that creative ability to get like fire. He can do the underhand. It's just instinct. He's got better quick twitch instincts at quarterback. I like Josh Allen, but he's right behind Mahomes.
I'll take Patrick
If I was
Mahomes right
picking a
now.
quarterback
Patrick
to lead my team, it's going to be Patrick Mahomes.
I would.
I'm going to say my 4, for the sake of having a 4th, although I really feel like we could almost say the top 3. I'm going to say my 4th for the time being is the Eagles because I think their defense is getting better.
Yes.
And I think that their mistakes are fixable. The fact they can push the ball down the field. They're not doing a great job of it right now, but they have the athletes to do it. They can do it. I don't believe and buy into all this Hurts, A.J. Brown drama.
And
I don't buy into it.
Their defensive backs get better every single week.
Devontae Smith is an elite wide receiver 1 on most other teams. Even if A.J. Brown's a little off, Devontae Smith can carry the offense through the air. Dallas Goedert's an excellent tight end. They have a great offensive line. Obviously, Saquon's great. Jalen Hurts is. I think that they can be that next team in the NFC. Are they playing their best football? No, but we've also been giving the Chiefs the benefit of the doubt the entire year, and they haven't been playing their best football either. So I'm going to say it's the Eagles. I think they're the 4th best team.
I agree, Michelle.
I can probably go there. I will say I am going to say this about this year though. I I don't think necessarily there's a clear cut favorite. Although, like I said, the Chiefs are
I
finding
think
ways
there's
to
3
win.
of them. Yeah.
But I don't even know that there's 3 of them. I think it's going to be because we're still we still have 4 or 5 weeks left in the regular season. It's going to be the team that gets hot right
I
there
agree.
at the end and can get their place. That's what I think is going to happen this
I
year.
got my eye on the
Who's
Seahawks.
who's going to get hot at that exact right time? And I'm really upset with the NFL because I don't think they've done favors for some of these teams. Like I know the Packers just came off having to play 3 games in 10 days. The Steelers are going 3 games in 11 days.
That's bad.
The Chiefs 3 in
Bad.
10 days.
They cannot do that
They
stuff.
need to do and
They cannot do
yes,
that
just
stuff.
so they can play. And
You
then
gotta
they play all
plan
these
the
games on
buys during
Christmas
that,
Day on
yeah.
a Wednesday. That's you're asking. That's my fear. Is somebody going to end up that shouldn't get injured going to end up really suffering an injury because the NFL is so freaking greedy?
Well, team number 5.
I'm going to say my team 5, and I really feel like it could be kind of a toss-up. I feel like there's probably 4 or 5 teams that you could, definitely justify being in this position. For me, I'm going to say the Packers are my 5 right now. I really like the way that Jordan Love plays quarterback. I think that they have an excellent running game, and a running game can win in January. They have skill guys on the outside. I don't know if they have a clear-cut alpha 1 receiver, but they've got 4 receivers who are 2s at worst. I think Jaden Reed's very talented. Christian Watson, when healthy, he's a vertical threat. So I think they kind of have all the pieces. Their defense is playing well. I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt, I think, to the Packers over the Vikings, just from the sense of
quarterback.
I like Jordan Love a little more than I like Sam Darnold.
Exactly.
And I say I love Sam Darnold. I think that he has proven and shown what his talent is. But I think Sam Darnold can give up games. I mean, they almost lost a game in Jacksonville because Sam Darnold didn't know the difference
I don't
between,
trust him at
you
all to
know,
win 3 playoff
Sam,
games.
Sam
white and
Darnold
purple.
is benefiting from a dome or an inside stadium and a great offensive coach.
I don't care if they were playing all 3 games at home. I wouldn't trust him to win me 3 playoff games.
I like Jordan Love a lot. I think that
He could.
he's a gunslinger who can go win you ball games.
Yeah,
And
you talked about not having the Packers not having a true number one receiver. It's part of the problem is they can't keep Watson and oh gosh, the other one,
Reed,
Dobbs. They can't keep them healthy at the same time together because when you have those two healthy and then you put Reed in the slot and you have Kraft as a tight end, you get really, really difficult to defend.
I agree. I think that they've got all the recipe if they're completely healthy. I think I like Dobbs a little more than Watson. Personally, I don't. I think just Watson he's okay. He gives me very Chase Claypool vibes in 2018 with the Steelers. He had that run with Aaron Rodgers a couple of years ago. That was great. Won people fantasy championships, this, that, the other. He's been pretty mediocre since then. I like Dobbs and I like Jaden Reed, and Tucker Kraft has become a legit tight end one. He is incredibly talented, and he's got a connection with Jordan Love. They've got the recipe. They're a good team. They can definitely make it to an NFC championship, and I wouldn't be shocked at all and win it. I mean, they're a good ball team.
And I was one who was upset to see Aaron Jones leave. I think I really liked Aaron Jones, and he loved the community. And when Jacobs first came in, I was not impressed. He just didn't seem. But he's gotten better as the season's gone on, and he's really developed a good relationship and fits that offense so well right now. And his blocking, on blitzes and stuff is pretty good too in those packs. I'm telling he's if he stays healthy too. If the Packers can stay healthy, I agree with you. I think they are a dark horse. I think it all have to depend on the seeding and where they might have to go, but I wouldn't count them out, and not just their talent, but I wouldn't count Mike LaFleur out either. I think he's done as a coach. I think he's pretty darn good.
Good point.
I agree. I agree. Well, I think what's made Josh Jacobs so successful is, last year they kind of ran that 2-back system with Jones, and I'm blanking on who that other back was.
It was AJ Dillon.
Yeah.
AJ Dillon. I think that Jacobs is the perfect marriage between those two, and to really be a complete 3-down back because he has the bruiser ability that you use in AJ Dillon, but he's real shifty too. And he's only caught like one receiving touchdown, but he's not a bad receiver out of the backfield either. Similar to, I don't think he's as good of a receiving back as Aaron Jones was, but I just think he fits that offense where last year and in years prior they were using 2 backs to be more efficient. I think they've got the back in
and
one back in Josh Jacobs.
Really nice.
Yeah, I mean he's a great change of pace back, but they're not splitting carries like they were previous. They have a true running back one, and then they've got their change of pace back.
All right, well, question number 2: can the Colts win in Denver and stay alive in the playoff race?
Absolutely, I think that I've called him Gus Bradley, defensive coordinator for the Colts, because I think he goofs a lot. But I think his defense, is really well set up to slow down the Denver Broncos. And I say this because the Broncos are a very bad running team. The Colts, with DeForest Buckner being back healthy, have made an emphasis and done a good job stopping the run, slowing the run down. Bo Nix is kind of the last few weeks, his evolution into this real, true quarterback one. He's kind of started pushing the ball downfield a lot, taking a lot of risks. And everything Gus Bradley's defense does wrong, he doesn't give up the home run a lot. And I think he might be able to bait a rookie in Bo Nix into a couple ill-advised throws doing so. I don't think that the Broncos have a great tight end. Tight ends have kind of been the Colts' kryptonite on 3rd down. I really think that this is a matchup that favors the Colts a lot more than the sports books and the pundits would like to say.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, I also think though, um, you know, I think Sean Payton has done a nice job out there, and Denver's defense is really, really good too. And I, I just, I, it's tough. I just cannot. I just don't enjoy it. And I don't watch him enough because I don't enjoy when I'm watching it. I don't enjoy watching this Indianapolis Colts team, flat out. I just don't.
Well, I'll say this: they play hard every week. They've been at every single game.
Yeah,
Anthony
I'm gonna
Richardson gets better every single time he takes the field. The offensive line looked fantastic the last game. What's his name was gone for 4 years and came out in off.
Martin Glowinski, Martin
Yeah,
Glowinski, right guard.
just bowling over defenders. And
Yep.
again, the Patriots' defensive front isn't very good, so that's part of it. But man, they looked awfully good at times throughout the season,
Here,
and then but looked really bad at others.
here's what I'm gonna say. Don't let the Colts be in it in the fourth quarter. If the Colts are in it in the fourth quarter, Colts are going to win. Anthony Richardson has done nothing but lead this team in the fourth quarter to making it close, giving them a chance to win week in, week out,
Oh, I
even
don't
when he
think they
hasn't
win it
played
on the.
well.
I don't think they win it at Denver in the fourth quarter. Maybe if the game was in Indy, but I don't think they win it at the fourth quarter
Well, they're 2
in
and 0
Denver.
in their last road games. I mean, they've proven they can win on the
But
road.
have they
They
played at
haven't.
the have they played that far above sea level? We got to remember. I mean, Anthony Richardson, though he learned not to tap out, he gets tired,
Well, here's what I'm going to say: he's the
and
best
he's gonna get a
athlete
lot
on the
more
field.
tired in Denver because they're gonna make him run all over the place
And we
because
thought,
their defense is better than the Colts defense.
and we thought you were a hater, Will.
It's incredible. I mean,
I don't
you
hate
know,
Anthony Richardson. I'm just speaking truth. He's not there
That's
yet.
not what hater means.
Everybody wants to anoint him, and he is not anointed worthy yet.
We're seeing glimpses.
if the Colts get in the red zone, he's scoring. He's done that. When the Colts get in the red zone, they score, and when the fourth quarter, he goes and wins ball games for them. I'm telling you, with an
And if the
athlete like
Denver
him,
Broncos break him in two because they're
it's not.
physical,
Well, that's great. I mean, if I see a 6'4", 240, 250-pound man get broken in half in Denver, I'll give you. You
Exactly.
can call my
The
bluff,
biggest
do
dude out
whatever.
there.
He's
7
not.
TDs, 9 interceptions, and going against a great
Okay,
defense playing
and
on their
now
home stadium.
that's cherry picking stats right there. If I've ever seen it, he's thrown two of them have been Hail Mary interceptions.
I know,
So
and,
I
and
mean,
his, some have gone off his receivers' hands, but you can say that about every quarterback in
And
the
they
league.
dropped at least 2 touchdowns.
Yes, but you can say that about a lot of teams. I mean, here's the thing.
sure, sure.
Here's the thing. You can't. The Colts aren't good enough to do. I mean, they're not going to make the playoffs. So they aren't. And I know everybody goes, "Can they?" Well, no, they're not going to. It's not going to happen. This Colts team finds ways to lose games when they're really critical. They just do. Um, I
Until they don't.
until they don't, but they don't really have the right
Every team does
they don't
until
have the right coaching staff to get them there. I'm
So
sorry.
so
I'm not a Gus Bradley fan. He's not the guy. He's not the guy to lead your defense. And um, you know, I don't know about Nick Sirianni. And I really don't think. I think for the Colts, the best thing that can happen to them is hopefully that Chris Ballard is gone after this season.
I
I mean,
agree.
truthfully, that's the best thing that can happen because I think he tries to. I think he interferes too much in the or in the day to day stuff sometimes.
Michelle, tell me, the Colts. Yeah, sure, they lose games that they should, that are critical. Who've been the quarterbacks in those games? Because I can recall Gardner Minshew. I can think of a 41-year-old Philip Rivers. I can
Yep.
think of Jacoby Brissett.
Carson Wentz.
I can think
But
of
you know what?
Carson
I would take a
Wentz.
Jacoby Brissett over an Anthony Richardson at this
Oh
point in
my
time
Lord! Now that is
in a critical game.
blasphemous.
No, no,
That
listen,
is
listen. You
blasphemous.
can listen. I'm not talking about
Oh
Jacoby
my
Brissett
Lord!
now. I'm talking about the kind of caliber Jacoby Brissett was at Anthony Richardson's age type thing. Not
Jacoby
age, but you know
Brissett
what I mean? Early into his NFL career. I would
Jacoby
just take it.
Brissett couldn't throw the ball further than 4 yards in his time in Indianapolis. Hell no!
He
I'd
was the
take
most
Anthony
limited
Richardson.
quarterback I've ever seen, and Anthony
60
Richardson's the most.
60% of Anthony Richardson. I'd take
But you
Jacoby
know what,
Brissett.
you have to remember, Jacoby Brissett played injured some, and he had a lot of the same things. I mean, the Colts were not super healthy with him. I said all along that they would have been better off to go ahead and keep him instead of going on this quarterback for another year or two and got the guy they want instead of going on the quarterback carousel that they have gone on, that
They
they
did
went
that
on.
Well,
because he wasn't
and
good enough.
Because now they end up with an Anthony Richardson who's going to take he needs another year or two to develop. I mean, he is
Yeah.
not close to what he really isn't close to what Mahomes and Allen were at this stage. And he's not because
the
has
stats.
enough. He
I
doesn't
think the
have enough
numbers would
stats.
prove differently. I think the
Pardon?
numbers would
That's
absolutely
right.
prove differently on the Josh Allen, not Patrick Mahomes. And I think the numbers on Josh Allen would prove to be quite different in their first 16 games as NFL starters. I'm not saying that he's close to being,
But Allen looked more
you
like
know,
I mean, he looked more like a quarterback in the pocket presence and everything. I'm just
I,
Richardson. I'm
I'm
still
guessing
not
you haven't
sure.
watched in the last 3 weeks because
you must not have, because I think he's looked really good. I think he's looked great.
yeah,
But
especially
and who they played? The Patriots. Oh my gosh. I
and the
mean, I think
Lions.
Okay.
Daniel Jones looked
I
pretty good
thought he
against the
played.
Patriots for a while.
I thought he was great against the Lions. I thought he was fantastic. He had two
Yes,
guys
because I
drop
think the
touchdown
Lions
passes.
also said, "Oh, it's the Colts," and we have like
Okay,
the
so he
Packers
doesn't
after
get
that.
credit when he
So
plays well, but he does get blame
right,
when he
but I'm
doesn't.
saying, but it does make a difference. I mean, if I'm not
I
sure,
don't get the
I'm not
draw.
sure how many. I, here's the thing, and maybe it will change if they continue to win. I'm just not sure. When really good teams look and they say, okay, the Colts can't freaking beat Jacksonville. Everybody else in the world can, but the Colts can't, and different things like that. I'm not so sure sometimes how that, and especially when you're between big games and it's an out of not just division, it's an out of conference game to where it's somebody you see
Okay,
once every
but
three or
still,
four
he
years.
played well against one of the best teams in the league. You just
Yeah,
and
and yes, he probably did,
and
but
he had two touchdown
and that
passes
game and
dropped.
that game was at home.
And
That game was at home, so
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
and he's got the benefit of getting to
yeah,
play
and again,
indoors at home, so we
he
get to go
hasn't
see him
done it
play
till he doesn't.
outdoors. We see a southern warm weather quarterback as he gets to go to Denver this weekend, and we don't know. And I mean, if there's a snowstorm, do I like Anthony Richardson?
I do.
No, I'll take Bo Nix.
I love him.
I
I
love him
love him
on
in a
Knicks in the
snowstorm.
snow.
I love him.
He's gonna
Run him
punish
20
them on
times.
the snow. He's
I
the
can tell you,
perfect snow quarterback.
I can
Oh,
tell
as
you,
long as the
Anthony
molecule freeze up
Richardson,
and he won't be able to breathe. Oh.
Anthony Richardson, he delivers contact to defenders every time. He
Every
wears on.
time.
He is a Derrick Henry type runner.
That's
He
right.
wears on defenders.
And
They
that's
do
why he
not want to
probably won't
step
have
up
an
and
NFL
tackle him.
career that'll last him more than 5 to 7 years.
Well, Josh
Period.
Allen's done a great job doing it. He's
Yep,
punished defenders, and he's only getting better. So
that's right.
let's hold the phone on that before
That's
we,
right.
we make that argument.
All right, question
Nah.
number 3. Question number 3 is not the same question I've asked you the last 4 weeks. It's how concerned are you about the Pacers?
I'm concerned. I don't know. This team is not figuring it out, and I don't know why.
I think that's what
I
I think Greg and I told you over right before Thanksgiving that
Yeah,
we were concerned.
I've been
well, you
concerned with
did.
the lack of chemistry the entire time.
I was going to give them the benefit of the doubt just because of how they looked towards the end of the year last year, and I thought, Tyrese isn't 100% with his back, and they're figuring it out. They show spurts, but they are really defensively challenged. I don't think Rick Carlisle does a great job of substitutions. I don't
No,
think
he does not.
he manages the game very well at all.
I
I
agree with
think that
that.
I think Tyrese and Pascal sit for too long. I think they go too long without having their ones on the court. I'm concerned. I would have thought at the beginning of the year. I said even they were hovering right around 500. I would have said that I still think they can make the 3 seed. Right now, I'm not sure they're a play-in team.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm not
Well,
so
they're a
sure.
play-in team, but they might not be a
I'm
playoff
not
team.
so sure that they don't need. And I've heard that possibly is it Naismith or one of them
Naismith,
might
yeah.
be on the trading block. I'm not so sure they don't need to go get a different guard, somebody like another combo. So you could
Yeah,
maybe play Halliburton and O'Connell or McConnell on the floor at the same time
Paul
because
George.
I think that I mean I just think TJ McConnell brings a spark, and I'm not wondering if he could be on the floor with Halliburton a little bit at times
Yeah.
that might help Halliburton. You know,
You know what amazes me, Will, is um, the perfect answer is one that will never happen, and the player they are missing exactly is Paul
It's
George.
Paul George. It is.
Yes.
It's absolutely Paul George. They're missing the defensive wing who is an excellent scorer. And I'm
We
sure
can go
every
to
team
down
wants
the
a Paul
stretch.
George.
Now,
Every
go ahead.
every team wants a Paul George. So I mean, yes, you could. There's 14 teams, 15 teams in the league that are missing Paul George, but Paul George on this Pacers team would make all the difference.
Yeah,
Now is
I love him, and I wish he was still here.
now here's the thing is Jimmy Butler's up for trade.
I
Uh,
feel like Jimmy Butler would be an excellent person. I think he would
But
fit
I
this
just
team
can't
perfectly.
stand him. I can't
He's a
stand him.
winner. Jimmy Butler's a winner.
I know, but I can't
well,
stand
and
him.
here's another guy that I just saw this morning or something that is could be on the trade block with the Warriors is Jonathan Kaminga, and I think that because and
Yeah,
I know he's because Siakam is he a smaller or power forward?
he's a small power forward.
He typically plays the 3 or the 4. He's probably closer to a 3, but he can guard up. He can
But
guard the
but
4.
They'd
Kaminga
be
could give
better
you
with him as a four.
but
Yeah,
Kaminga can play 4 or 5. I mean, he can score from outside, inside. I just think, and I know they're talking about it, and
they've got to make a move.
I know they're looking at maybe possibly trading Obi Toppin.
That'd be great.
I think it'd be great to trade Obi. I think he served his purpose here. He was good, but they really I think they need someone else. They really need a 3 that can that can play kind of the point 3 if that's even a point forward if that exists. Uh, and one thing that Miles Turner is an absolute liability defensively.
Absolutely.
It's as good as he is offensively. It's really tough when you're giving role players, role centers, role forwards. I mean, he's giving them 35 points a night.
Seems like it.
He's played really bad defensively.
He's
Um,
soft. Don't you think he's soft?
I
mean,
think
for
he's really
17
soft.
No, and I get this and he probably came out too soon because when he first came out, he was skinny and could get pushed around a lot. And I think that's one of the reasons he liked to play outside. And I think it was even that year in college. As growing up, I think he was a kid that grew quickly,
And he
but
could always shoot. He was always the
right.
best shooter on the
And
floor.
he
Great
matured
shooter.
and he
Great shooter.
matured late, as far as strength and widening. So he got into that and he's never wanted to mix it up. And I sit there and I look at him and I'm like, why wouldn't you want to mix it up now? I mean, you are big and I mean you're a big guy. If you got strong, there's no reason you should be down there battling. And the one game I told Greg that really I said kind of and for me really it was like, okay, Pacers are in big time trouble was the game when he led them in 3-point attempts
Yeah.
Yep.
and only made 1 or 2 of them. And I'm sitting there
Yep.
thinking, what's your 7'2" center doing, leading your team in 3-point attempts for the game? That does not speak well of your team.
All right,
I
guys, we got
think that
5. I'm sorry.
I've got just one more thing with
All
him.
right.
I think offensively, Turner is the perfect center for this team. The way they play offense. Defensively, they need a Eunice Valanciunas.
Yeah.
They need a bruiser defensively. But the problem is that he fits the mold for how they want to play offensively, and that's why they won't get rid of him. Because the Pacers want a 5 that can shoot. And I mean, as much as his shortcomings come, he's a talented offensive center.
If you
He
have
really is.
if you have Miles Turner on as your center, you need Dennis Rodman as your power forward. Otherwise, it's
Yep.
not going to work that well.
I agree.
All right, question number 4, and we got about 5 minutes left, so we got to be fast. A lot of big
Okay.
baseball news this week. What was the biggest?
I mean, obviously Soto. I would, say that's a mega deal. I think it's the absolute dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. Juan Soto's not worth $765 million.
No, because by the time you're done
Juan
playing that,
Soto, I could name you 7 or 8 ball players I would take over Juan Soto at this very moment. He shouldn't be paid that much. I don't think he's a great leader. I don't think that he is. I don't think that ballpark fits him very well. I think they have a deep left center. I think he benefited a lot from the short porch in New York. He can draw a bunch of walks. I have never seen what everybody else sees. I think he's a good ball player. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know if he's even a top 10 player in my opinion. Watching baseball,
Yeah.
What was it?
I
Pat
also
McAfee figured up, and what is it? He is he making
it's
like
like
something like
$5,000 an hour.
$51,000 an hour?
It's like $5,000 an hour
No,
he's making.
it's five figures an hour.
It's just
Crazy.
utterly ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous. I I don't even I have Max Fried signed today. I don't even want to talk about Juan Soto. It's just a complete. It's going to set the Mets
Okay.
back 20 years.
Well,
It's
then let
it's
me
going to
ask
set
you
the Mets
this.
back.
Let me ask it a different way then. What's the news from the last week that you think will have the most impact?
I think Max Fried to the Yankees, if healthy, is a huge move. Um, they need a left-handed stud. They got it. Fried's had some health issues, but he fits that rotation well. Um, I'm still kind of waiting to see where Corbin Burns goes. I feel like that's going to be kind of an X factor move
Yeah,
that I
for
am
sure.
interested to see where that goes. Although I just did see today that the Red Sox traded for Garrett Crochet, which is a big move too.
Yeah.
But I
Solid
really
piece.
think that I think Fried to the Yankees is really big. I do. I think with Luis Heel um, and Garrett Cole and Max Fried, that's a really good. If you're facing those three in a series, you're going to be real lucky to get one.
All right, last question, Will, and I'm going to ask it. I'm going to have you answer the questions in quick succession. You can give one or two sentences. All right.
Okay,
Indiana or Notre Dame?
Notre Dame by a lot.
SMU or Penn State?
Penn State by a lot.
Clemson or Texas?
You know what? I think that is going to be one that's closer than it should be, and for the upset, I'm going to say Clemson.
All right, and then Tennessee, Ohio State. I'm going to guess you got Tennessee.
I'm going to have Ohio State in that one. I think.
Oh,
Thanks once again to Will and Michelle Garmon for joining the Central Indiana Sports Report. That was a lot of fun. Gotta say, a couple of passionate sports fans. Lucky to have both of them as part of the Central Indiana Sports Report lineup. And thank you, of course, for listening. Please go right now and like, subscribe, or follow us on SoundCloud, Spotify, Amazon Music, or Apple Podcast. We are now also on YouTube. Just search Central Indiana Sports Report, and all of our segments are streaming there. The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media. This is a